Hey, y'all. Welcome to another Hanging with Hobo Live, and thank each and every one of you for being here. Uh, Tonight is going to be a little different. We've done something like this before. I'm going to briefly just discuss how you assemble this for those who have already downloaded it, because it's not like what I was thinking. I have to give a little shout out to Chris for his comment, question, statement about some of the orientation on the dowels. This design is the first design in 3 years that has drove me to drink. This thing like to whoop me. It almost whooped me. And I finally ended up just throwing my hands up in the air and going up the street here to the Mexican restaurant, having lunch and having a margarita and another margarita. And then the answer came to me. Staying away from AI, staying away from ChatGPT. Because no matter what I did, no matter what I suggested, no matter what improvements or changes I asked, would this work? Is this going to make it better? The answer was always yes. No matter what I suggested, yes, this is going to work. Oh, yes, that's the right answer. Oh, now you're on to this. Now you're not just thinking about, you have now got down to the root of it. Didn't matter what I asked. Everything was correct and better, and it never worked. So I just sit there drinking, eating my chips and salsa, and picturing the mechanics in my mind about what the dowels are doing, how the cams are acting when it's lifting versus this or that, and where, because I was making improvements. I mean, improvements were being made, but not to the extent that they needed to be. So I realized, okay, well, when I'm doing this and doing that, well, these are wrong, that's wrong. I said, that's got to be completely re-engineered. And so I said, okay, I changed the cam designs completely. And Chris made the comment in last week's stream about the cams orientation from one another, because the cams, I was designing them so that they were slightly offset. One was a little lower than the other. Well, now they're drastically lower than one another. They're the difference in the height between the cams is the 20 millimeters of height of the center pivot point. So there's 20 millimeters difference between each side of the cam. And in order for that to work, you have to orient those cams on opposing sides of the dowel. And that's what Chris asked last week, suggested, and maybe even said, hey, dummy, you need to be doing it on the opposite sides. But that is the changing and exaggerating the cam height difference to be the distance of the height of the center point pivot point, and then flipping the orientation of those cams so that the high side's on one side of the dowel and the high side's on this side of the dowel. So anybody who has already downloaded the file and starting to assemble, that's the only caveat that you got to be aware of. That's the only thing that's the gotcha. You want to put those high pointed sides of the cams on opposite sides of the dowel, and make sure you put the large, longer ones on the same dowel and the smaller, shorter ones on the same dowel. The small, shorter ones go in the top hole and the long ones go in the bottom hole. Rest of it's all common sense. So let's see here. I seen Chris, what Chris say here. Chris says, AI is the greeter at Walmart. It is terrible. Well, I've had some good sangria. I don't know that I've had any sangritas, but I've had some pretty good sangria. But a long time ago, long time since I had sangria. Yeah, and this is, I believe, absolute truth, Chris or Jack. The longer, and this one was 2 weeks worth of conversation with ChatGPT. It did not have an original idea, and all it was doing was placating me and just saying, yep, that'll work. Yep, go for it. Why not? Because I don't have no idea what's going on. Let's see. I just seen a video on AI that mentioned using a result to discuss pros and cons in multiple AI platforms. Well, I've not been using multiple platforms. I've been using Chat GPT. Use prompts to find flaws or weaknesses. All right. So, and yeah, and a few of you mentioned the video I posted where I used this thing. When that video I did was the first time I used it. I assembled it, put it together, and seen that I got the tilt that I wanted, and I was just beside myself that it was finally working. That I set up the camera immediately, and I knew it was going to be funny. I had already done it successfully one time. So then I sit there and I said, okay, it's easier going from the center out than it is out to in. But that was pretty comedic, and it does you. Somebody even made the comment in YouTube about, man, after watching you do that, you probably should never get anywhere near an RC helicopter, because I'm guessing, your movements need to be very slow and incremental. Not the herky jerky movements that I was doing when I was playing this thing. But I was just so excited that it was working. I didn't care. I got tickled with myself. I always ask AI when it says you are right, is there another way? Well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So I think I've made that pretty clear. In fact, let me go over here to Lightburn and show everybody, for those who haven't downloaded the file, how this file is laid out. And then we're not going to discuss more about this. We're going to get into some Q&A and some demonstrations about viewers' design problems. And I'm going to show you a concept that a challenge that I had presented to me this week that I'm going to put together. It's going to turn out to be, I think, a pretty simple design and a neat way to do something. All right, got that. There we go. All right. So this is how the file will download. I did have, here's another thing. I had to modify this part of the lattice, and this part that has this extra piece cut out here, the elongated side, that's the side that the largest, these right here, the ones that go on the lower dowel, these are your lower dowel cams, and they need to come through this opening. So that's another thing that I forgot about. So you want to put these together on the same dowel. And when you glue them up, or when you assemble them, wrong one. Was that right? Yeah, that's right. You want to assemble them like that. You want to put them with one on the opposite side of each other. All right. So those go together on the lower end, and they go through this opening. These go together on the top dowel. And again, there is a difference. You want to put the longer cam on opposite sides of the dowel. And that's pretty much the whole trick to putting it together. These are the interlocking supports that will go in here to lift your marble. If you're using a 16, and that's another thing. I'm working with the 16 millimeter marble that I got from Hobby Lobby. So if you're not using a 16 millimeter marble, you may end up having to adjust the height of that, because the trick that I learned here with this configuration, with these cams, that top of that marble needs to be 20 millimeters above the surface of the lattice. So those go together, interlock, and go in here. And this ring right here, I cut that out and I glue it on the bottom of this. This is the base of the maze. And what I did when I did that was get rid of the marble. There's also, I went in with my sanding and sanded a really large chamfer on that. So it's not a hard 90 on the inner cut. and then glued it on the back of that. And then when that sits in there, that will help this maintain the center point of that pivot point. And that's that. I think that inner hole was maybe 18 mil, maybe. So it's much larger, much millimeter or two larger than the marble. So it does have some movement in there, but it keeps it pretty constrained in the middle of the maze. All right. So exclamation, exclamation, exclamations. All right, done. Let's see. Or working on the bomb squad. Miss that. I always ask AI when to do it another way. Or when working on the bomb squad. I miss the meaning on that one, Bob. Maybe mark them top and bottom, left and right to make assembly clearer. Yeah. I was just so glad to get this thing done and get it up there and get it online. I can do a little more, but there's always going to be questions when it's because this is not a simple build. There will be questions. All right. Okay. Yeah. That was my suggestion last time. Great. I would 3D print it. Oof. And then a few of you made comments in the comment section for you. As you've seen these where they had holes in there to where if you went somewhere you weren't supposed to, you be in the wrong area and also drop into a void. Yeah, that could be problematic too. That ideally there you'd want to have a catch basin underneath the maze so that when the marble fell through, it hit that, and then it could be maybe in at an angle so it diverted it, to a certain place like a pool table. Otherwise, you're having to pick it up and trying to fish out the marble, and which that could be aggravating. But there's all kinds of things you can do with it. Mechanically, I got it working. You can do all kinds of things to improve the maze, change the maze. But I got the mechanics finally figured out. Praise be. All right. And I did this. I set up the nesting so that all of the pieces are nested on 1, 2, 3, 5 pieces of the 12 by 19 3mm MDF from Craft Closet. So 5 pieces of that will get you the entire piece. Yeah, Carl, it was fun playing it. But I think it would be more fun as a group watching everybody struggle with trying to make that thing do what you want it to do when it does what it does. All right, so finally put that to bed. Next project, the pinball machine. Yeah. A little mini desktop pinball machine. Yeah, that won't be next. That might be something in future. I could see that as a possibility. But nah, not next. Not next. I'm giving myself a mental break for a little while. I'm telling you, those cams drove me to margaritas, and I haven't had margaritas in a while. Jack and I went. I don't know, Jack. When did we go? It's been has it been a couple months now? It was before Christmas. Was it before Thanksgiving? But anyway, we got it done. Chris says 2.1 has nesting built in and not sending it to SVG Nest. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'd be thrilled to see if it works as well as what I do whenever I do my own nesting. Because I got every piece of those 12 by 19s out, and they only have about a postcard square of material left that's good, usable material. I'll have these sitting there. Yeah, and Jack says, yeah, it's been a little while. All right. So this past week, while I've been working on this, I received several emails about design issues, problems, and I didn't have time to make videos or respond. And so I'm going to respond to those here in this stream. And so the first one I'm going to address is I had a question from V. I haven't seen her V in the stream in the comments yet. She might be here later on if she's not already here. But V sent me a request about where is your question? Oh, here it is. What's this? It works with the parts boundary boxes, so result can be manually improved, I could imagine. Yeah. And that SVG nest, it took me a little while to figure that out. I figured it out, but even when you got it figured out, it didn't always give you the best result. And I always got better results doing it myself. So I'll be curious to see how their new nesting works. So V sent me a message, says, I sent her the libraries that she was missing as a gold patron from last year. And she said, hey, thank you for that. And she said, I was curious if this laser head is a good one. I have a Sculpt Fun S30 Pro. Currently it's a 20 watt, but I want stronger. Will this work on my Sculpt Fun? And she sent me a link, and I like I'm going to have to do something along these lines for more security verification on the new website, because I'm still getting slammed with bots. But this is the link that she sent me, and it's got this security piece on it. Slide this to make it fit. Obviously that don't fit there, but it'll fit right there, give or take. Okay, good, you're done. So here is the module she sent me asking about, wanting to know if it'll work on her Sculpt Fun. And it's a 40 watt. And it is, if you look up here at the address, it's from Temu. Now, that's interesting. I just now looked. I didn't look at this until just now, because number one, I don't know anything about your laser, the Sculpt Fun. And what I do know about Temu is, if you didn't see it, they reported a huge fire in one of their, I think it took out 3 warehouses. 3 huge Temu warehouses were completely burnt to the ground, and they had a total value loss of about $3.20. I wouldn't trust much of anything you get off of Temu at all. My crash of my video hardware was a result of my initial purchase being from one of the discount Chinese wholesalers, and the piece that I got is suspected to have been a rejected piece, or a complete knockoff or counterfeit piece, and it was just junk to begin with. And I was amazed that it lasted as long as it did. But this time I got the name brand from their website, bit the bullet, and paid the higher money for it. So her question about buying this from Temu, number one, I probably wouldn't buy from Temu, period. And let's see what anybody's saying in here. Nobody's mentioned about this yet. But you mentioned, and it's in the ad here, and this is confusing, and maybe Chris can chime in on this, because manufacturers will do this to you and confuse you intentionally. What I'm seeing here is misleading. It says that this is a 40 watt laser module, but then down here in smaller, it's output power of 5.5 watts. So what I'm thinking that might be is it's consuming 40 watts of power, but your output, the actual strength of that laser is only 5.5 watts. It's not a 40 watt laser. So yeah, As Jack says, that's not a 40 watt. So Jack saying, yeah, that's 40. Is that 40 watt output? Yeah, it's not 40 watt. It looks like 5 watt, 40 watt input. And so manufacturers will do that intentionally. Another reason you don't want to buy this, I wouldn't buy anything from this website because they are deceiving you unless you are well versed. And I'm not. I thought that I was right, and Jack is telling me that I was right, and Jer and a few others are backing up what I was seeing. That's a 40 watt input, or it's consuming 40 watts, but only outputting 5.5 watts. So no, do not buy that module. Jack says, I got a laser head from Laser Tree. It is good, but the fan never stops and it's loud, and he may change it out. Yeah. I would be very reluctant to buy anything for my laser if it wasn't from the manufacturer. I would be reluctant about it because I don't have Jack's engineering skills to make it work, or let's see here. Would you mind putting the comments on? Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I can do that. Comments on the screen. Show comments on stage. There we go. How's that? And I'll try to remember to do that. But when I don't do that, and you want to see them, you just mention that. I learned that just last week that I could do that. And Chris says, yes, marketing deciding numbers to use, not engineers. Yep, input to get 5 and 5.5 output. So yeah. So if anybody sees V join in the stream later on here, if I don't see it, if you see her jump in saying, hey, let her know we talked about it, and don't buy that module. In fact, I would stay away from Temu, period. All right, so let's check that one. Done. Inbox. Go. No, starred. There we go. And V's done. All right, now I had a message from Nelda that said, she was asking me, says, curious if this was initiated from you via Patreon or they chose to send it to all on their own. And I can tell you that if there's been anything sent to any of you from Patreon, it did not come from me. And that's another reason I'm getting away from Patreon. They are making unilateral decisions on my channel. I guess technically it's theirs, and I'm contributing to their website. So I bet if I read the small print somewhere, they may even own my content that I share on there. I don't know. But anything that anybody has received via Patreon or seen posted on Patreon since December was not from me. And Chris says it was Patreon. There was a very big clue in an old video it showed. Okay. I didn't see it. I didn't acknowledge it. I'm trying to distance myself from them. And the progress report on my replacement for my website and for the new support system is dragging a little longer than I would like for it to, for the simple fact that my local web designer who is helping me get all this stuff implemented, he's about my age. And like me, he's never really grown up. He is in a cover band. And this time of year with Christmas parties, New Year's parties, all that, he's had all he could do going out and playing rock band and not being busy doing web stuff. And he's making bank doing that. And so I understand. And he will be back in the web office Monday. And I plan to be there Monday with my bells on, going, all right, let's get busy. Let's go to work. I'm going to design this while you're designing that. And let's get this done. Let's hurry up and get it. And I plan to I plan to have, and I hope that you don't find this um, too aggravating. It's actually going to be beneficial to both myself and you as the user. I'm going to be implementing one extra step of security for creating an account. And everyone, I believe, I don't know this yet. I don't know because I'm still figuring it out. I may be able to import all of the existing accounts right into the new member format. They told me I could. I haven't gotten that far yet with it. I'm praying that you can. But for anyone and everyone who's signing up who doesn't have a new account or doesn't have an account yet, and there'll be an email verification, like I'll have. There might even be a two-step verification that they are a legit person and it's not a bogus account, because I'm getting dozens of bogus accounts set up every day. And what I'm told, the whole reason for that is they get all these bogus accounts, and what they're doing is they're trying to attack the website, trying to figure out how to get in and access the payment processing side of it to try and steal my money. It's the only reason they would be doing it. So if I have a checks and balances to where if they put in a bogus email address, my thought is you set it up, you'd have to receive an email that you're going to click on to verify your account is correct and up to date and working, and then the account would be created. But without that email verification, no accounts will be set up. That's the plan. And yeah, yeah, I definitely don't want anybody paying and renewing any annual payments on Patreon. No annual renewals on Patreon. I don't mind extra steps, one off for setup, but repeated use. Yeah, no, this would be a one-time deal, a one-time to verify the email truly exists. But yeah, no, it wouldn't be an every time you go to log in. In fact, uh, I would think that depending on how you have your browser set up, and you could save your login and passwords once you've created the account. You don't even have to enter it. You can click in. Lots of bogus accounts are AI mining as well. That's a new term I'm not familiar with. AI mining. Not only your money, but yes, access our accounts also. Yep. Access your account information. And if they get access into the payment processor, they would see all of everything that takes place. And that's what I'm trying to prevent. Try to just get it as secure as possible. It's already a secure site, but they're always trying to get around that stuff. A lot of places text a 6-digit number to enter. Yeah, you can do that, and I don't mind that one time, like Chris said. But I know that whenever I go into Dad's medical account, every single time I log in, they send me a 6-digit number that I have to wait for the text, then go back in, and then that's aggravating as snot. So I won't be doing that. It won't be every single time. All right. So that takes care of Nelda and her question. Yeah, anything you see from Patreon, it's not from me. I will not be asking you to renew. I will not be asking you to, re-up or to, nothing coming on Patreon is coming from me. Now, next, starred. John. All right, John Taylor. I don't know if John Taylor is here tonight, but John Taylor had an issue that he sent me. And this actually is a good series of emails that everybody needs to understand what I want to see from you when you want help from Dum Dum. when you want dum-dum to try and figure out what's going on, I need you to send me the Lightburn file that you're working with. If you're not trying to solve a problem within a Lightburn file you've designed and you're creating, if you've just got something that you've clicked off, or an image you clicked off of Etsy and say, hey, I want to do this, well, that's a whole new discussion. But if you want to troubleshoot a problem, I can't help you with that problem unless I have the Lightburn file. Initially, John sent me an email with the simple message that says, can you help me? I'm trying to engrave a black and white PNG on a black slate. When I invert the image, becomes invisible. No attachment. So I don't know what's going on. So I just emailed back and says, I have to see your file to understand why, or at least to try and understand the problem. He then sent me an attachment, and the attachment he sent me was a PNG. It was not a Lightburn file. So I replied back, hey, PNG, I need the actual Lightburn file that you're working with, because here's the issue. The PNG that he's trying to work in Lightburn, well, if I just download that and put it into my Lightburn and do what I need to do, I may not experience the exact same problem, because he might have another layer going on in his Lightburn-ish, setup that's causing the image to disappear or to be inverted or to be something. And so I need to see exactly what you're working with when you're experiencing a problem, so I can try and replicate it, duplicate it, and understand where that problem's coming from, so I can answer your question intelligently and without having to guess. For the one I'm working with, the medical, it's always 6 random numbers. It's always a different number every time, but every time I do it, it's a different set of 6 numbers. We won't be doing something like that. All right. So he finally sent me a Lightburn file, but unfortunately, this is the Lightburn file he sent me. I say unfortunately or fortunately. I don't know. Let's see. Swap over and go to Lightburn, and here. Actually, that's not what he sent me. File. We're going to open, and this is what he sent me. Open. And so he's got 250 years of freedom, the Eagle, 1776, 2026. And if we look at this and we go to preview it, oh, yeah, there's nothing there. But when this is selected, if you look over here, this is an image. This is not an SVG. It's not a path. It's not just a simple layer. This is an image. And I ain't real sure why it's not showing anything. Let's try doing it in newsprint and change our power to 80% and okay, and preview. Still nothing. So honestly, I have no idea why there's nothing showing up with the image and the power. But I don't like trying to engrave images. And for something like this, where it's just a simple black and white, you don't want it to be an image. You're going to get a better result if you just trace this and be done with it. Chris says, I just love not people who say I have a laser problem without saying which type and let alone what model. Yeah. It's sometimes trying to assist others is like pulling hen's teeth. Sometimes it's a challenge. But John, what I would do here to fix your issue is simply right click it, trace the image, make sure everything looks good and crisp. And this is a real clean image, so it traces really, 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 really well. And make sure you delete the image after trace and say okay. And now it's in fill mode instead of an image. And then Chris says, click invert to see the preview. Let's do that. Control Z, we'll go back. So there's an image. Go to preview. It shows nothing, but let's get the full, there we go, and show invert. Nope, nothing. Nothing, Chris. It just goes away. There's nothing there on the inverted image or the image. So I don't really understand. And you know what? Was it made in Jarvis? Currently, I've got it in newsprint. It may have been Jarvis to begin with because I changed it. But no matter what I put it in, it's not there. Now, I have no idea where this image came from. I have no idea where he got it from. It could be some type of security that they've got on it. I don't know, that prevents people from just copying and pasting it. I don't know. I have that issue with pass through. I don't know what you're referring to there. And your name throws me for a loop because I know you're not Thomas Russell. Depends on the image and the format and the version. Yeah, but to fix this issue, regardless what's causing this, and I just hate doing images. Period. Right click, trace the image, delete the image after trace, and then when you look at the preview, there it is. Now, I'm going to show you a quick trick. He said he's engraving this on black slate. And depending on which output you want of this eagle, you can invert this image really, really, really easily. You only want... Well, and that's what I'm getting ready to show here, Steve. Extra layers shouldn't matter on the image. And I wouldn't think, because I would think that it would invert if it had double layers on there. But that's curious. I'm gonna go back and look at that. And Chris says, yeah, using images is last resort. I stay away from images if I can help it. But here's a trick. Let's close this out. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to duplicate it and bring it over here to the side. Now I'm going to ungroup this one. And then with it ungrouped, I'm going to go into wireframe mode by doing Alt-Shift-W. So that puts everything in wireframe mode, and that'll allow me to get just this outer line of the eagle. And I'm going to duplicate it, Control-D, duplicate that. And now, I don't know if I want to do the flag or not. I'll look, we'll see. Let's put this back in field mode, Alt-Shift-W. And there, by just duplicating that outer line of the eagle, I inverted the eagle on how it's going to be engraved. If you wanted to do that with the flag, I might be able to get it right here. Yep. And duplicate it, Control-D. Now, there's a problem. There's one star because it's part of that eagle offset that's not going to get duplicated. Or inverted, I should say, Control-Z. So that gives an undesirable result. But that might be kind of cool. And if you wanted to invert the letters, you could get just the letters there. And then what I would do here, instead of just duplicating it and getting that, I would want more of an outline. So I would say Control Z, put that back, and I would come in here and do an offset. Inward offset of a 0.2 millimeter, maybe, and say okay. And that'll give me that with that inverted eagle. Do the same thing with the 1776 and the 2026. Look at the preview on those. Preview shape duplicate. Yes, I know they're duplicates. Continue. Oh, now there's an undesirable result. That's because I need to subtract those other pieces. It's engraving the entire thing and then double engraving the others. So to do that, now this is a pretty neat trick. I haven't used this in quite a while. Invert selection. Invert selection is a pretty cool trick. Here, I want to select everything but that outer line of the eagle. Watch this. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to delete that one, get rid of that. Here, I'm going to select and there's two, there's a duplicate. These are duplicates here. So I'm going to drag from right to left, selecting both. There's supposed to be a duplicate. Is that not a duplicate? Yeah, it's a duplicate. Yeah. So I'll select from right to left, selecting those two. But I want to select everything else. So I'll come up here to edit and invert selection. And that is going to select everything else on the table except for those two pieces. And then if I group that, then I should be able to select, and we're going to group those two. And then I'm going to put this in wireframe mode, Alt-Shift-W. There we go. So this is one copy of everything that's here. And I'm going to use that as a cookie cutter to cut out those areas of the outer offset. And if I'm going to use it as a cookie cutter, it's going to go away. So I need to make a duplicate of it to use it as a cookie cutter. And let's see if this generates the result that I'm looking for. So I'm going to duplicate that, Control D. Then I'll select my outer, hold my Shift key, select one of those duplicates, and then use the subtract tool. And then look at the preview. Let's see here. Alt-Shift-W. Am I where? I don't see. Field smooth. There we go. All right, and now look at the preview. Let's see what I got. Continue. Nope, that didn't work either. I got too many duplicates on there. Duplicate. There we go. Now, with that deleted, oh shit, no, the preview. Yes, show me. No, I don't want to show me. I want you to continue, dummy. Still didn't give me, it's still giving me that duplicate. And what I see, Chris, nope. the eagle offset needs to be on another layer. But it's still going to, without it having those cutouts, it would still get all engraved. Let's just see here what that did. Yes, continue. Yeah, that worked. By putting it on a separate layer, that worked. But I don't think if we didn't do those cutouts, that other layer would have been all engraved. Or no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. So let's go back to that. Start over. Because what I did didn't work. And what Chris is saying is right. Of course it is. Because he's Chris. So let's go back. Delete that. Open. Open. We're going to, we'll just select it. First, we're going to trace it and turn it, get rid of the image properties. Trace. Okay. Put that on one layer, the black layer, in fill mode. We're going to ungroup everything. And then Alt-Shift-W for wireframe. Just select the outer eagle offset. Put it on separate layer. And let's take a look without it being duplicated. Yeah, that works. So if we control, let's see, duplicate that, bring it over here, and put the outer layer back on the same, and look at those two and preview. There you go. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, without Control D, just changing the layer and putting on a different layer. That gives you an inverted eagle versus that one. So you could duplicate that, I think, on the same layer and get the same result. Control D, duplicate that one. And now look at both of those and preview. Yes, I know. Nope, it didn't give you the same result. So putting it on the different layer is what made that work. So I don't know, John, if that's what you. I do know that the fact that yours was in an image, and for whatever reason, and I'm using, like, I've not even done the latest upgrade. I'm currently on 2.0.05. So depending on what version of Lightburn you're using, you may have been getting the same problem, because I don't think that was supposed to work like that. You should have been seeing an image and it wasn't showing you a preview of the image. I don't know if you tried to engrave your image and the preview just wasn't working, which is a possibility. But I would have gotten rid of it, the image qualities, and having to choose between Jarvis and newsprint and halftones and all that. Convert it to a path and put it on just a regular fill mode engraving, and you'll have a whole lot less headaches. All right, let's see. What else? Here, let's see, starred. Okay. All right. Let's see. I had two more come in here. Nope, that's irrelevant. Go. Bye-bye. All right. So this week I was sitting at one of my local watering holes. It's about two and a half blocks up from me, so it's real convenient. And they got really good fresh ground hamburgers from a local butcher. I don't have to worry about the quality of the meat, and it is good stuff. And he has really, really, really good barbecue as well. But I like his burgers. I was sitting there, and they have the girls, the waitresses there. They pool their tips and then split the tips, and they have 3 tip jars. They're actually bucket or boxes, lockable wooden boxes on the countertop there. And that was like maybe stained pine screwed together, really very um, basic boxes that they are able to lock up. And on the back side of that, they had some paper where they'd taken a big ballpoint pen and in blue ink and in red ink and just drew on it and put tips and red ink and blue. It looked elementary and childish, and it'd been there for 4 years, so it was very, very worn and very bad. So I was sitting there and I said, okay. I looked at it and said, I'm gonna do something and make those. I'm gonna improve them. So I came back after having lunch and created these to be glued onto the back of those boxes, getting rid of that paper. And I got this on a single sheet. This is 300 by 300 material. So I got 3 signs out of 300 by 300 material. Don't go baking my heart. Tips appreciated. Tips are hugs without the awkward body contact. And tips because you people are crazy and therapy ain't cheap. So I cut those out and put a quick clear coat on them. And then next time I went up there, I took them up there and said, did I get your approval? Showed them to the owner. I said, so what do you think about these? And he kind of, yeah. And they're free. I'm not trying to sell them to you. Do you like? Oh yeah, I like those a lot. I said, good. I just thought it looked better than the paper that was just getting a lot of wear on it. And so I actually brought my clamps and glued them up and put them on for him. And then he says, okay. He says, the next 2 times you come in, I got you. So I got a free burger and sides tonight, and I'll probably get one more when I go back next time. Ed, if you want to go, it used to be across the street from you. I don't know if you lived there that long, but way back in the day, Ray's Country Store was down there on Union, right directly across from South Pines. And now he's right up here at Broad and Second. Ray's Country Store. Brisket that'll make you smack your mama. It's some good stuff. Brisket's better than anything I've had anywhere. But the peppery smoke flavor of the brisket, while it's extremely good, if I eat it too late in the evening, I don't sleep well. It lays on me hard. So I have to eat it early for lunch. And if I don't, get the burger. All right. So that's where you want to go, Ed. All right. While I did those, and now here's the thing, I did these for him for free. I had no anticipation of him giving me anything or giving me a meal or two. But if you look, the signs also have my little logo on them, Hobo wood. And now they're a conversation piece. And the girls up there love them. They think they're hilarious. I think the Don't Go Baking My Heart was the favorite. The Therapy Ain't Cheap was pretty good too. But now I've got my name out there and it's a discussion piece for them to talk about. And every single one of them that work there have now asked me to make something for them that they're paying for. So I've done this for free and it's generating revenue. So this is what I struggled with this one for about 2 days, trying to come up with a concept. She told me these were my things. She said, I want to have something. It's got his name on it. He's 2 years old. And I was like, well, does he like superheroes because I had some, or dinosaurs because I had Spidey up my sleeve. I had Jurassic Park up my sleeve. Had a couple of good things already done up. No, 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 he doesn't like that. He likes cars. I'm like, okay, all right. So now I got a 2-year-old that likes cars. Sorry. So what's his name? His name is Colin. I'm like, okay, Colin. I said, so Colin. Close. And I'm like, close. How you spell Colin? En? Nope. Collin. She went with a double L, which got popular in the early 2000s. And now that double L or single L are both accepted, apparently. So the double L posed a little bit of a problem for me in my mind trying to design something that's going to look good, because the double L, if you use the lowercase, could look like eyes. And then a double L, and if you use the capital double L shape, but then reduce the size of it, so you got a larger capital C, that would work. But then I'm thinking, now I've got 6 letters and the word Colin. It's kind of hard to morph that into a car shape. So I kept playing with it. And then finally I said, you know what? Use the KISS method, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't try to make things more difficult than they are. He likes cars. His name's Colin, and she wants a nice little stand. Easy peasy. How about those combined on a name badge they can wear? Yeah, she wanted something. Initially, she said she wanted something to go on the wall. But I'm thinking something different. And plus, here's another thing, too. I took these signs up there and gave them to them. They were free. And they were like, oh, I'd like to have something like that. I'd like to have something. And I showed them some of my multi-layered painted Spidey Man with the names on them and the stuff that are 3 and 4 layers and 3 and 4 colors. I'm like, yeah, some of these are anywhere from $60 to $100, and then I could just see their face. So that told me, okay, they ain't want to spend $60 or $100. So I'm looking something simple, cool, and inexpensive. So this is the idea I came up with, and this is going to be so easy to design that no matter what your skill level is in Lightburn, you can do this. And this is going to be pretty cool. What's Three Dogs saying here? I made one of your Amazing Grace crosses today. I've already sold it. My first one, I greatly... Well, hey, if you made one that your skill level is right there with mine, brother, you can do it. You can do it. All right. So what I decided I'm going to do, and let me make sure I got this in my art library. Signs everywhere. There's signs. I don't know if I did or not. So let's go to another one. Lightburn. I'll go there. All right. So did I download that yet? I know you can't see this yet. File. No, I don't think I did. So let's download. Done. All right. So before I started out working at Dad's tire store when I was a teenager. And when I needed to make more money, but yet I couldn't justify more pay because my skill level only justified so much pay. It didn't matter if you're the SOB or not. So the boss does not justify more money per hour. I had to leave and go to work somewhere else in order to make the money I needed. And I went to work for Mitsubishi. And while I was working for Mitsubishi, they introduced the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. And that was a really impressive car in its time. Not so much now, but when it hit the market, in fact, it was Motor Trend's car of the year when the VR4 when it first landed. Squirrel. So I created a line drawing. Let's see, open, downloads. I'll get y'all to see this in a second. I want to get it on screen here. Downloads, there it is, and open. So this is actually kind of a cross between the 3000 GT and the Supra. Uh, and that's just a basic Alt Shift W, a basic image. Now you can download a photo and get a pretty good outline from your photo, but you end up losing a whole lot of detail, especially around your tires and wheels. I want to show you how quick it is to create something like this. This looks like there's a whole lot going on, but there really isn't. If I started with a single circle, and then I come over here and I get a triangle and draw out a triangle. We'll go about like that. And I'm going to put that triangle on the center there. I'm going to bring it, oops, see. I need to invert it and bring it down a little bit. Then I'm going to put 6 of those. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to round off those corners with the radius tool. And let's just go to 1. Come on. Now with that done, bring that closer in and do a circular array of that. 6, not that one, a circular array there. And do 6 copies. Say okay. All right. Now let's come in here to that one. Control D, duplicate it. And I'm going to bring it up a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate it again and bring that one on out. Then I'm going to group every bit of that and Control D, duplicate that. And then I'm going to shrink it down. And then I need to duplicate that. Oh, no, wrong one. I duplicated too much. I want to adjust that outer piece. Alt Shift W. Now I need to select that and ungroup it and duplicate that and bring it out. And you could keep playing with that, inverting different things. But whenever one of the biggest things that you can, whenever you do a trace, especially of a car, a photograph, something like that, you'll get some, you won't necessarily get straight lines, and you definitely ain't going to get perfect circles. You can use your optimized shapes tool, which I've demonstrated for you guys several times, to help smooth out a lot of the outer perimeter curves, but you'll never get the circles and the tires and the rims just right. But there I showed you how quick and easy it is. You could create something that's unique and then size it down and put it in your image. So I did something like that to create my tires and wheels. But now what I want to do is take this image and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab a rectangle. And we will put it in the center. And even though that looks, even though I just told it to go to center, it looks like it's longer over here. Yeah, and save wheels to library art. Yeah, you could do that. Absolutely. That is centered because Lightburn just told us to. I just told it to center. But because the tip of this rear spoiler is sticking out past here, that actually looks to me like this is hanging out further behind the car than it is in the front. But let's bring these up together. Alt Shift V. Come on. This and this. Alt Shift V. Now they've got them lined up with one another. I'm going to overlap these just a wee bit by selecting that bottom one and holding Shift and up arrow. There we go. And that was, I think, about a millimeter overlap. And I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to eyeball this over here, and I'm going to bring it in until, in fact, what I'm looking at, I'm ignoring the fact that the edge of the piece is here. I'm coming to here with that rear bumper and looking for an equal distance from here to here and here to here. I think that's going to look better and just look more balanced. And this is just my opinion, and I'm just eyeballing it. You know, I could get really, really crazy and get out my measuring tool and measure from there to there and say, okay, that's 7.3, and then over here is 6.8. So I'm within a half a millimeter, and this one is a little bit longer, and that's fine because it needs to be. So I'm gonna go with that and select those, get rid of them. So there, that to me, that looks like it's centered up better than being truly centered. I'm going to duplicate that. Control D, duplicate it, bring that down here. And then I'm going to weld those together. Done. And do I want to do that now? Let's see, Control Z. Now, I think before I weld that together, I want to do an offset of the car. I'm going to do an outward offset of the whole thing, and I'll do it. Let's look at 3 mil and say okay with outer shapes only. And probably what I should have done is I need to look at what this I do. I need to size this up on my material. And that's another thing I try to tell you guys when you're designing. Put your template on there for your material first and make sure, because you can always scale it down. But here, I want a 3 millimeter offset of that car. And now that I've realized that the car itself is already too big and I scale it down, I'm no longer going to have a 3 millimeter offset. So I'm going to put me a 300 by 300 millimeter not 3,000, 300 tool path in the bottom corner, and then bring this over here. And let's get rid of that offset. Let's group all of that together, and that's 300. Let's put the widest point. Let's lock the aspect ratio and say the widest it might be is 290. Now that's definitely going to fit on there, and I've got room for my offset. That should work. All right. So now I'll come back, select, ungroup it all, select the car, do a 3 millimeter outward offset of my car, use round corner style, do not delete your original, say okay. And you can do a couple of different things here. I'm going to bring this over here, put this on a cut layer, because that's going to be a cutout. Now for the car, you could do a couple of different things. Let's see here. 2.1 will have an auto undo history. They already got auto undo history in here. They have an undo history. Save template functions. Yeah. If you go to edit and least they had. I seen it. I played with it. I don't see it here now, or maybe you have to select something. Edit. I don't see it. But I promise you, I've seen that before. In fact, I even talked about it in one of the releases and showed, here's an undo history. And it had a drop down screen where you could go down and even, I think you had the option to preview those undos and then select the one you wanted. But I'd be dadgum if I see it here now. Hey, Dale. Uh, did you have a question this week that I haven't already addressed? Seems like you had a design question or a problem you were trying to address. If you did, put it in the comments here because I've gone over what I had in the email. I'm going to finish this design I'm working on. And if you've got something out there that I need to help you with, we can do that too. But I did see an undo history in a previous version somewhere. Okay. Wasn't you, Dale? Okay. Very good. All right. So what you could do here with this image, this car, I should say, I'm going to put this in wireframe, Alt-Shift-W. And now that I've got my offset for that, actually, that's not going to fit because that offset comes down below those tires. So what I'm going to need to do is, all right, this will work. I'm going to duplicate this. Is my car grouped? Nope. Tires and wheels, they're grouped. So let's group those. Those are grouped. Duplicate them. And then say that's A, hold shift and select the bar. A subtract B. Did that not get rid of? Maybe I didn't need to duplicate them. No, I didn't need to duplicate them. All right, so there. Got rid of the original. So now I've got tires with flat spots on them. So that and that. Oh, I need to get all the car and all the tires. And actually, no. Nope. You can turn that off. Turn off the I just messed up again. What I need to do is do a cut of the offset, not of the original tires, because I'm going to weld the tires together and it's going to make them flat anyway. When I create the offset and I want it to line up perfect with the car, the offset's going to be 3 millimeters all the way around until it gets those tires, and there's nowhere for those to go down in there. So I need to create that 3 millimeter offset, then use that bar to subtract the bottom part of that 3 millimeter offset of the tires to get that so that it now still lines up perfect with the car. So, go back and how many? All right, that's a duplicate. Delete that duplicate. And that's good. All right. All right. So, what I missed something here. It would be awesome if Lightburn would make it to when you put a tool layer in a project that it wouldn't make it a. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and that's you can turn that off, and that's what they was talking about. Yeah, you turn off the framing. But I tell you what, I've had issues where because I've got my turn off the framing. It'll still frame it. So what I do is just be sure I don't select my frame whenever I tell it to go frame, or I don't select that toolpath. But as they said, there is over here in your cuts and layers, there's my toolpath. Uncheck that, and it's not supposed to frame anymore by unchecking that. But I've unchecked that, and it still frames that toolpath sometimes. So I just be sure and not select it. Uh, framing is another 2.1 fix. Yeah, I haven't seen 2.1 yet. And like you said, there's a whole bunch. All right, let's get back over to this design. All right. So if I need to select this entire thing and do that 3mm offset, and now come in here, I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, duplicate it, because that's going to go away when I'm done. And I'm going to select that offset. That's A, hold Shift and select one of those duplicates and subtract it. Now, that's going to be a perfect offset to line up with the car when I select the tires. And let's go with here and weld those together. Now that's one piece. Now, what I need to do is what's here. That's all right. So that's the top layer. Let's move this correct offset out of the way. Put that on a cut path. Get rid of that. And then over here, this is going to cut out and be one piece. This up here is not going to be connected to that. So I got to get that connected, and I could do that a couple of different ways. Let's put it back in fill mode. All right. I tell you what I'm going to do. This is quick, simple, and I'm cheating. I'm going to lower the car height ever so slightly so that it closes the gap between the tire and the wheel well, and that will overlap those, and then I can weld them together, and Bob's your uncle. I'll need to redo that offset again because I'm changing the height of that ever so slightly. There's a bunch of ways you can do it. That'll be the quickest and simplest way. So before I do that, I'm going to delete that again. Actually, undo, and there we go. Get rid of that one. Go back to wireframe. Nope, still didn't go back far enough. Get my round tires. There we go. Get rid of that. I'm going to, are my tires and wheels grouped? They are. Now, see, here's another chance to use that invert selection. I'm going to select every bit of the car. I want to do the whole car tires. Yep. Or actually, you can just deselect that. So using Control and select the tires again, that deselects it. Now I've got every bit of the car. Let's go ahead and group that. I didn't have it grouped for a reason, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the ride height just enough to get those to overlap one another. And I think my shift arrow, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. And now that and my tires get welded together. That's just a little, that may not be enough. So let's look at bring it down another shift arrow, put it there, and weld the tires now. Let's see what that looks like. That'll work. That'll work. Alt Shift W. Let's select the car, do a 3mm offset, say okay, duplicate this, Control D to duplicate it, select that offset, hold Shift, select the duplicate and subtract, put that on the cut layer and move it over here out the way. Now with the car, you could do a couple different things. And so what I'm thinking about on the offset, I'm thinking about painting it to be a solid color. I don't know what color yet. If it'll be white or black, or black might be pretty cool. Well, you can create black with the laser, so we won't do black. Because what I'm thinking about doing is on the windows for the car, cut those out instead of engraving that. I'm going to cut the windows out so that you'll see through the car and you'll actually see the offset layer that we just created. So whatever color I paint it, you'll see that through the windows of the car. Yeah, red cars make it go faster and you get tickets faster because you're doing 10 mile an hour sitting still at a red light as far as the cop's concerned. 10 miles an hour adds 10 mile an hour to the radar every time. Or red color adds 10 miles an hour to the radar. All right, so let's see here. And yes, it does, Carl. If you don't believe me, ask a state trooper. So let's take, we got, and this is why I didn't have it grouped a minute ago. Let's ungroup it, put these on a cut layer. So I'm going to cut those out. You're going to see that and see the color behind it. How about adding wheel wells instead of lowering the car? Well, like I said, that was just the quickest, easiest way to do it. And when it's in fill mode, that don't look bad. They don't look bad at all. And here I need, in fact, what I need to do here now is I need to select, because you see how that's got that wanting to engrave that? If I go back to wireframe mode, grab all of those windows. Oh, want to get just the windows, not that piece down below. Duplicate that and put it on a black layer. And then go back to wireframe. There you go. It won't engrave that because you're going to be cutting it away anyway. So that'll be cut away. You'll see the color behind it. And I'm thinking about actually pre-painting the piece that's going to have the car on it, pre-paint it red, and then engrave those highlights and the door lines and all that. Those will be engraved areas. So if I'm going to do that, then Alt-Shift-W, I need to put these now need to be welded together and put those on a cut layer. So that's going to cut out. Those will be engraved. And now actually I don't need that black layer in there. Alt-Shift-W, go over to my cuts and layers, turn the red layer off, and then select those and delete those, turn the red layer back on. There we go. So that'll all cut out. That'll engrave. Alt-Shift-W. So red painted car, the black engraved body lines, and the black wheels. Oh, and my tires would be black. I mean, my tires would be painted red if I did that. So, this would work. If I wanted to do black tires, but then have my rims match the red car, watch what I got to do. All I got to do is come in here and select one of my circles, duplicate it, bring it out to the original line, like so. I need to cut that off. But then this would be red paint. This would be engraved. And the car would be red. I think I like that. So let's grab another one over here. Control D, duplicate it, bring that out. And I'm just taking it to where it's right at that cut line. If it's bigger than the cut line, it ain't gonna matter. It's just gonna cut it off, which would be fine. right there. Those are the headlights. I'm gonna leave that be like it is. Taillights, headlights. Put that on a cut line. My main what I'm trying to do, because the young lady that asked me to make this, when I said, you know, $60 to $80 on some of this stuff, her face just dropped. Well, here I'm trying to design something that I can get out of a single sheet of 12 by 12 material. So I'm gonna have $2 in the cost plus the paint. So not going to be a whole lot of cost involved in it. So it'll be something I can sell her for 20 or 25 bucks, and she'll be happy and tickled with that, because it'll be custom personalized with her son's name on it. So that would need to go here. And let's see. I'm initially, I want to put a base on this. So I've got a little bit of room here, but I don't have a whole lot. I need to, and I'm actually even okay with the engraving of those round tires coming down into there, and that keeps the shape of the tire round. I don't mind that. I need to check new circle tool and see if it can resize a selection to an arc if it's being centered to. Okay, I don't quite follow you there. If cost is still an issue, maybe see if she wants to paint it and save a few bucks, and you save some time. Well, I'm not going to be. I'm lazy, dude. Or I'm going to be spray painting this. This ain't going to be something I'm going to have a whole lot of time in. I'm going to spray paint it, and Bob's your uncle. It's done. And I'm sitting here looking. The car is going to be red, engraving is going to be black. The offset, maybe I'll just leave it neutral and no paint, just natural wood, and put a clear coat on it so you see through it. It doesn't have to have paint on it. Would you need an offset? No, you don't need an offset. I'm just looking to add a couple things. One, I'm adding substance to the design and having that extra layer on there, and being able to cut out the windows so you can see through the windows. It just adds a little bit more. It adds depth to the project. Making an old style Woody, yeah, an old Woody 3000 GT VR4. That's too expensive. The pre-painted MDF for a cheap project, because this right here, this was 5 sheets of the pre-painted MDF, and if it was 17 sheets for $100, I didn't even do the math. Let's do the math. It was 17 sheets. Well, I should say $100 divided by 17. 100 divided by 17. So it's $5.80. $6 a sheet. And if you wanted 2 colors, you're not going to use a full sheet, but you know, that's expensive compared to a $2 piece of Baltic birch that I can just put a piece, you know, quick spray job on. And let's see here. So let's go back over here, close that. But I think I can do this and get every bit of this out of one single sheet of $2 material, and have a 2-layer piece with a base on it from a single sheet. But having that perimeter as your constraint to begin with is crucial. So first, I want to look and see how tall the car is. So I'm going to come over here and get my measuring tool, and I'm going to go from the roof line down to there. And that's 78 mil. So if that's 78 mil, I'm going to put in here. I'm on. There we go. Cambria is one of my go-tos. Let's just see here. COL, it's not COLLIN. and make that bold. And I think I may need to do that all. Well, actually, let's do it. 78 mil high, aspect ratio locked, 78 mil. Is that about the same as the car? Yep. So if that's, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the base. I might be able to get a base out of this. We'll see. I can tighten that up by decreasing my horizontal space like that. And I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. We'll take this down to 75 mil. And I need to have a little bit of overlap. There we go. There. And then I want to do approximately same overlap at the bottom. Now, I've Jared, I'm going to show you what I'll do in a second. Because I might have a trick for getting that wood pre-painted and not the background or not the offset. But I've mentioned to you, boys and girls, before that whenever you're working with text, any text that has a curve on it, like the C, like the letter O, any letter that has a curve on the top or bottom portion of the letter is going to extend further than the letters that are flat, like the L's, the I's, and the N. So you have to be very careful of that when you're welding your letters together, because if you look at just the O or the C here, they're going to be overlapped way before the other four letters. And if you're not paying attention, your flat letters don't get welded into place. And if you look here, you can see what I mean. See how far that's down here, and this is too. But over here, it's half the distance, or even a third of the distance of this. So on your overlaps, you want to pay attention to your flats, not your curves. And I'm going to bring it down, just the whole thing down just a little bit. I may end up resizing the letters. I don't know. But that there looks okay. So if that, in fact, I'm going to take this up here. Now let's start welding these together. I'll weld, and actually you can just select them all and weld. Done. And that'll give me, because the I is overlapped over there, that gives me that up there. The O's attached at the bottom, doesn't need to be at the top. So that's one possibility. And now I want your opinion. That, let's see, let's go back before I weld it. Let's duplicate this, Control D, duplicate it, bring it over here. And let's weld that back together. And then on this one, let's look at something different. Let's come back in here and do that. And then come back in here and now go cap locks OLLIN and I already know which one I like better. If I group that and put it in the center of that, Well, I don't know. Let's weld it together and see. Problem with that one is you only got one contact point over here. There's nothing going to support that over here on this side. So doing it like that doesn't work. Oh, not that, dummy. That. And center that up. And that's going to need to be reduced in order to get it. Oh, I didn't need to do that. Control Z. Jerry saying all caps, same height like that there. What do y'all think? Make the N a large capital. You know, about on this one over here, uppercase C and an uppercase N. Hey, Missy. What do you say? Make the N the same size as C. Okay. Yep. All right. Jonathan's saying all caps. All right. I'll do a version like you were saying there. Let's go back. Control. Come on. Control Z. All right. To there. And now I can duplicate that again. Bring that over here. Oh, didn't get all of it. Let's delete that. Duplicate that whole thing. Control D, duplicate that whole thing. Bring that over here. And then I'll need to go into, no, the smaller uppercase version. Okay, I kind of lost you there because I was thinking what I thought you were talking about, like call it what Missy was saying. Do it like that, but you don't want that. Let us look. We'll look here. We'll look. Let's come in here. Oh, wrong button. Select that text. In order to do that, that's going to have to be its own. If you start at the beginning, if you start from the beginning for me, you wouldn't have to fix it right now. Ha 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 ha. So Colin, and then we'd do another, and this would be lowercase OLLI, no I. And we're going to need to bring this over, bring this up and over. Well, I'm Dale. It's not a matter. I'm not trying to overthink it. It is, just I can't type it that way, but a large capital C smaller capitals. Oh, okay. Okay. And then, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. Ah, that might actually look pretty good. The large capital C, then use OLI and smaller. Yes. Yeah. That actually might look. Now, see, not that I'm overthinking it, but I think that might be the look that's going to look the best. And is looking at these possibilities and collaborating that I think that's going to be the best possible outcome. And I think that is what Sharon was trying to say to begin with. Yeah, she's what's see. I think we got there. I think this is going to look good. I think that's going to look best too. So we'll see. So if I take those and tell those to go to uppercase and then just shrink them down in size. And align it to the bottom of the C. Oh, you know what? That was an accident. That might actually look pretty cool too. By doing the italics, that's almost simulating motion. So let's look at that. That was complete a fat finger, but I think that might be cool. Might need to change the font, but I think that might look cool. Now let's get in here and let's change that, bring that a little bit closer. And then what size is that? 90.94. Capital N. And that's 90.94. That's good. Bring that up to the bottom of the C. And bring that over. Italics make it look like it's speeding in reverse. Well, you're right, Chris. It's the wrong slant, but you know what? We can fix that. We'll turn the italics off. And this, yep. Well, I wasn't going to warp it, but I was just going to skew it. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that the spacing's right. There we go. Got equally spaced. They're aligned to the bottom. So now I can group all of that. And now that all that's grouped, you just come up here and skew it back that way. The N is the exact same size as the C. And it will, once they're welded together, you won't notice the difference. I've got to get them positioned right. What did Ed say? Oh, yeah, I seen that. The problem with that is, she said he's 2, but I don't know if he's going to be 2 for 3 more months or if he's going to be 2 for a whole nother year. And then it literally dates the design. And I don't know. From my, and I need to fix my car. I have a racing number on the side of my door on my car. And it looked really, really cool when I did it. But now that it's 2 or 3 years old, I'm tired of looking at it, and I need to get rid of all that stuff. But that's not a priority right now. But what do you? Let's see here. Why does the N look so much larger than the C? Okay, the reason that the N looks the N doesn't look larger than the C. I think the C looks larger than the N because of what I was talking about a minute ago. Any letters that have a curve on them, the C, see how high it extends up into that bar and how low it extends here, and the O, but these flat letters don't extend as far down. And since the N is flat at the top and flat at the bottom, here you can see it's wider. It may just be because of the font. Because whenever I used the font size, if I skew this back about there, whatever it was, and ungroup them, we look at this font, it's 90.94 height and it's 90.94. Oh, wait a minute. That's still in bold. Is that bold? Yeah, that's bold. That's bold. They're all in bold. So that's just the font. So we could, but they are technically the same height of 90.94. So let's group that back together. Skew that. Do you like that, boys and girls? Having that skewed back in that direction? Does that look good? Or is it just better off straight up? Or maybe a little bit less? About like that. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at the distance between my C. I'm high here, low here, or high. Let's take the name and bring it. Oh, that's too much. We'll bring it to about there. I'm looking at equal distance on my C here and here. That tells me I'm pretty centered. I'm overlapping on my N at the top and the bottom. And let's weld that all together. All right. I'm going to say this one is out. And it's between those two. And Sharon says she thinks straighter is better. Personally, I think slanted forward. Well, the slanted forward, it's Chris pointed out, would have been in order to do it slanted forward, the car needs to be facing in the other direction, which could be done. Personally, I like it better straight. I would check the width of the end compared to C. Yeah, and I think changing the font might make the difference you're looking for, Missy. Let's do this. Let's do controls because I really like where we're going with this. Let's take this to there. And let's take this, group all of that. And well, before I do that, let's take this, duplicate it, bring that over again. Now let's grab the car, flip it. Let's grab that and Sharon says, I like the second version only straight. Well, the second version I got rid of. So this is the third version. No, that's the second version. That's the second version. So you like this one, but with the letters straight. And I kind of concur. I think I like that straight up and down better than slanted backwards. But this one, let's ungroup it. Italic. There we go. And I don't know why. I think that maybe it's because that's the natural slant of italics is slanted forward like that. And now with the car flipped, that does show I like that italic leaning to the right better than I do backwards. So that looks better than the other way. In fact, that might be my favorite one yet. uh, car reversed looks more natural. All right, definitely the last one. Yeah, I think boys and girls, that's going to be the one. Uh, yeah, they know emotion. They know, yes, sir. All right, so now with that italicized, I got a whole lot more gap over here, obviously, than here. Let's look at a couple of different fonts just for the heck of it. Cambria is one of my favorite. Is a very clean, simple font. Um, uh, mm, and I need. I'm thinking another thing about the the strength of it. If you get something real too small and too dainty, that letter I, if it was mishandled wrong, it could get broken off. So something big and blocky is going to be better, stronger. Um, let's do this. All right. Every does everybody agree that that right there is probably the best looking version so far? Everybody think that's so far that's looking the best. Missy, Sharon, yep. Carl says yes. Jesse says yes. All right. So I'm going to grab these and I'm gonna move these out of the way. I ain't gonna get rid of them yet. Sure as the world, you delete something, you're gonna wish you didn't. All right, so let's stay with this. This needs to be flipped. There we go. Now, what I want to do is duplicate that and bring that over. What about doing an inward and outward offset of the letters? Uh, well, it would weaken it unless you did an offset behind the letters. Then you're going to add more material to it. And I don't. I'm trying to. The whole goal here is I'm trying to get this thing cut out of one piece of 300 by 300. Uh, if you did like that Algerian, it was looking pretty good, and you could do it so that it cut out, and it even had the cutouts within the letters, and then the offset behind it, so you'd have multicolored with the letters. That would look really cool, but it's more paint, more material, more time. Engrave the offset could work, and keep it to one. Yeah, yeah, we'll look at that too. But let's. I want to look at a couple of different possibilities on the font because these are kind of delicate. Cambria is one of my favorites, but even Cambria Bold is a a little thin. So if we go back to the Arial black, which is going to be larger, heftier, let's bring it into position. It would be about there. And then, and I'm kind of not hating what I'm looking at here. Bring that one to there. Bring this one to there. Let's see what happens when I distribute them. Am I going to get enough space? Not quite. But, oh, wrong one. Get all of them. A stencil pot might look good. I don't know that stencil. You don't. I use stencils when you absolutely, positively have to have them to make the design work. And these actually could be a little bit closer, and this one could be a little bit closer. Oh, wrong way. Group that, center it. Kind of blah. Center the N and the C. Well, the whole thing's centered, and these are equal distance between them. Center the N and the C. So if I right now, if I ungrouped them and then selected that and then that, group those and put them in the center, it shouldn't move. Yeah, it didn't move because I distributed those equally with distance between them. But because of the shapes of the letters, the C appears to be closer. These all appear to be closer, and the N is further away from the rest of them. So I would eyeball it again, or you can do what we was talking about. Get real specific. Get in here and measure it. What is the difference between there and there? Is about 4.3. So come over here and 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll give it one more. And then group all of that together and then center that again. That looks more centered, more equally spaced. I like the bigger, bulkier letters, but I like having the serifs on these and having the flares on them. But I don't really know that it's absolutely necessary. So the N looks like it's too low. Well, the N and the C should be at the same height, but we'll double check it. Let's ungroup them. N and the C aligned. Actually, if anything, it was high because I seen it drop down. But I don't want it to drop down because these are just barely overlapping. This one is lower here. For looks, I could bring them up to about there. And I think it'll look okay, maybe. There. What if you bring the C up and the end? Yeah, which is what S did. Yep. I think that's what you was talking about. So I kind of equaled the distance out there and there and there and there. So ignoring, and this is the whole thing. Whenever I told it go a line to the bottom, it didn't look right. So forget about the actual alignment. Go with what looks good to the eye. Yeah, Chris says that looks better to him. And once they're all welded together, it's going to look better, or it'll look more balanced, more balanced. I think there might be a little bit of space that can be added here. We'll give it another millimeter. The distance is greater from here to here, but I think overall that looks better. Group all of that now and then center it again. There we go. Now, take all of that and group or weld all those. I don't want to have that black layer. I didn't grab it, did I? Or did I? Or is it grouped? No, I must have touched it. Or did I? No, yeah, we need to ungroup that. Ungroup that and grab that and weld that. And now group all of that back together. Now keep that over here for now. Let's bring this over here. All right. If I want to put a base on this thing, I've got room, but it wouldn't be a very, very big base, but it doesn't have to be a big base. It is going to be a little bit top heavy. And put that in, there we go, fill mode. And just for giggles, let's go over here and see if it looks any different to you. I think that's going to look pretty good. What do you think, Greg? All right, now, if I come over here and draw a rectangle, utilizing just about every bit of room on this board as I can, I'm gonna hold control and put a radius on these, round those off by holding control and dragging to the left. Then I've got room up here to put a tab here. I could put a tab here and I could put a tab here. I could put 3 tabs on it. I could get by with just 2. Let's come over here and draw out a tab. Let's Control D, duplicate that, bring it over here, and that even fit there too. So let's put that there. And I'll align those in a second. The car airfoil is going to be outside the material boundary. What you talking about? Oh, over here on the offset. It won't be when I put it in the center like a numb nut. There you go. That works. So now I need to bring that over some. Just for the heck of it. And here. Now, something I'm going to do, I think, to help. Come on. To help with the overall looks of this and maybe help with the appearance and also maybe even make it look faster or just more aerodynamic. Before I go in here and mess with these yet, let's come over here, look at my rule. If I measure this, this is 9.94 millimeters tall, same up here. So it's 9.9. Half of 9.9 is 4.45 or 4. So I'm going to come down here and just say, do a 4 millimeter radius and come back up here and do a radius. Got to select that first. And it's got to be ungrouped. You can't put radiuses on a group. So ungroup it. And there we go. Radius there, 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 there. There we go. That looks better. And if I like the placement of those, then I'm going to grab that and that. And I'm going to Control D, duplicate it, group that, put it in the middle of this, and then grab this and this. And I've got to the point now where I'm so tired of Lightburn not recognizing that I have my slots and tabs actually aligned to one another. I don't even bother trying anymore. I need that to be a 3 millimeter tab, but I'm not. In fact, those, if I come in here and check, it shows the height's 5.88. They're positioned in the right place. Unlock my aspect ratio and tell it to be 3 millimeters. I didn't have my, I didn't have my anchor point in the right spot, so it moved it. So undo that, anchor point in the middle. There we go. Unlocked aspect ratio, 3 mil. There we go. That's right. Now for these, I'm not even worried about what the height is. I'm just going to make them really, really big. They're where I want them to be and weld those together. And now I can use the resize slots and tools selection to tell that tab height to be 3 millimeters. I didn't bother measuring that to see what it was because I don't care. I've put in here, we'll put in here 3 now, see what it says. It don't even recognize the 3. All I got to do is just get increasing the tolerance down here until it recognizes it. Let's go to 3. There we go. Now it recognized it. I can tell it to apply, and it changes that to 3 millimeters. Apply, okay. So now I got a 3 millimeter tab there, 3 millimeter slots here. I've got it all on one piece of material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invert these position of these two. Let's group this together. And actually, I'll just move it out of the way. Bring this one straight down. Bring this up here. And then I'm going to get my, I'll grab a guideline. Bring a guideline down here, and I'm going to put it in between these two. Grab my scissors, cut it here and cut it here. Then select that guideline, put it on a cut path. And now I can cut these two pieces. I can put my 3 millimeter, I can put my line tabs with both the wheels. I don't think it was going to even matter because you're not going to see them. But if I cut this out, put my 300 by 300 material on my laser, cut this out, I can then take this piece off out of the way, take this, and actually, you know what? I think I want my base to be natural too. Uh, yeah. So I'm gonna bring that up here, bring this down. So yeah, I'll cut the base and the offset. Take that off. That'll be done in a just a sanded and clear coated. This I'll then take the remainder or that top half of that and go and pre-paint it. Paint that whole thing red. Then once I got that painted red, come back and engrave and cut it out. And then all I got to do is clear coat it and assemble it. And that'll give me a red car with see-through windows, some details and some lines and some tires. I think that'll look pretty good. I think I've gone too far now. I wished I would have thought about it whenever, right after we talked about it, because I thought about it and I didn't do it. Was going in and putting an offset of the letters and engraving that in there. I'll probably go back and do that. I'm not going to do that now because we're 2 minutes and 15 minutes into this. Yeah, we got that fixed. That, like I said, that ain't going to matter because the tabs and slots are all going to be hidden and out of sight. Not relevant. But overall, you know, get that out of a single piece, do the letters, then overlay them. Yeah. I'll go back and add those in and do some offsets on that. Those aren't grouped. So I need to get all of that grouped together. Group that so don't move. All right. So the offset just gets fastened to the top half. Yeah. I'm just gonna glue that up, and I'm not gonna bother putting it in the slots. That's why I cut the bottom of it off. That's why I've got a flat edge here, so it can sit right on the bottom of the base. It won't actually go into the slots and tabs, or it won't have slots on it. It'll just be glued up flush to the bottom. And a blank comment from Steve. I don't know if you want to say something that didn't show up, Steve. But I think that's going to be a pretty cool piece that can be made from $2 in material and some spray paint and clear coat. I mean, you might have $5 in it, and counting your time, your paint and clear coat, not counting any of your time, and plus the time to create this. But once you've gone through something like this, and if you said, you know what, I really like this, I want to keep this, all you have to do now is edit the bottom half, edit the name. In fact, I'll probably edit this again, edit it and save it. So I've got a template that all you got to do is add the name into it. How hard is that to do? Duplicate that, bring that over here. Ungroup it all. I'll get rid of the pieces that can be eliminated here and select that. That I don't need. Select that. And actually, you could do a couple things. You could grab your pencil tool and come here and start drawing a straight line across over to here. And same thing down here. And grab your scissors. Get rid of that and that. Oh, you didn't like that. That's okay. And then get rid of, I don't want to get rid of that. Let's take this line, stretch it on out past that. Now cut, it should cut to there. There you go. And come back and cut to there, there. And that needs to be cleaned up. And node editing. Is that grouped? Nope. And delete those two right there. Delete those two right there. Oh, that wasn't grouped. Control Z. Isn't this going on his door? No, she talked about maybe making it a wall hanger to hang over her bed, but I decided to put a base on it that could be sit on his nightstand or on a bookshelf or wherever. But the cat wanted to help. Is the base and top piece the same width? Nope. And they don't wouldn't have to be. I'm more worried about how top heavy it might be with such a narrow base. It's just going to be a try it and see what it works. And I may end up finding out that really wanted to get it out of one piece. That was the goal. And it may not work with a base this size. So I can always just take the tabs off of it and turn it into a wall hanger. Put some little loops on the 3mm offset, put some string around it so you can hang on the wall. And then you're definitely going to get it out of one piece of material. Oh, wrong one. If won't even cheaper, just cut the windows out and no offset so you could see right through the window. Yeah, and then if you hung it on the wall, you would see the color of the wall. Yep, or the door. Yep. Don't be afraid to work with nodes. Control Z to undo them. And the biggest, and I do this, I do it every time I work in nodes. Just remember the biggest mistake everybody makes is if you want to delete a node, do not hit the delete button. Select the node and or nodes that you want to delete and hit the letter D, not the delete button. I do it constantly. I'm wanting to delete the nodes and I hit the delete button and you delete the whole thing. You just Control Z, select them again, hit the letter D. And don't be afraid. Just get in there and do it. You can make the base wider now that the letters have been removed. Yeah, I could redo that, but the letters are going to be. I was trying to get the letters the same size as the car. They don't have to be. I could. You're right. I could play with that with this template and take a look at it and redo the offset on the letters, reworking the whole thing. That's not going to do all that in this live stream. Yeah, you can make the base out of scrap, but when I'm designing with the idea that, hey, this might be something that I could sell as a complete template, one piece of material, you're done. And that may be what I do here is like whoever it just suggested, Chris said it, now that I've got the letters removed, I can make the letters a little bit smaller, make the base a little bit bigger, create the offset with the letters to add more detail to it, make it all and still keep it all within a 300 by 300. And I saw that. What did you see, Kilroy? What did you see? What'd y'all see? What'd I do? What'd I see? With the nodes, I forget to check joins. Yeah. We all get better every day, and I learn every day too. Yep. You learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Get in there and just do it. All right. So go back over here. And done. Yeah, but I like that. I like where we're going with that. I'll recreate that and recreate some offsets. So I've got the C that I can engrave in there, uh, and the O, the L. Do all that with the letters. Uh, Haste makes waste. Yep. Well, we ain't been real fast at night. We've 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we've gone through 4 or 5 different versions to get to what's going to look good. And I think that's going to be a really nice piece. Once it's painted up and done, clear coated, you've got the windows you're going to see through, uh, and also the wing, the arrow here, the spoiler. That's going to be a little bit fragile, but the fact that you got this offset here now, how fat that is, that's going to support that. That's going to look good and not break off. Um, how many using Mac over PC? I have no idea on that one. I would just throw it up on your website when it's done, and people can change the name. Yeah, I'm in fact when I put it on the website, it'll be done as a template without a name in it, uh, like this right here. That then you can just put in the name and do your uh, italics or non-italics or size letters, however you want to do them. The template will be something like that. And like I said, I'll adjust it to where and make the base as big as possible. So we'll go for that. Yeah, I will. I believe she's gonna like it. And something that else is kind of cool too. You know, I don't know that she would watch this entire 2 hour process, but people like to see how you design stuff. So if you don't have your own channel, you might even just make a video of your creative process. And plus two, yeah, I've got $2 in material in here, plus the paint, plus the clear coat. Like I said, I might have $10 in it total material wise, not counting the time of cutting it out and assembly and all that. So it's definitely worth 25, maybe even $30. In fact, I might even cost for the assembly process. And when I clear coat stuff, I don't just shoot a coat clear on it. I usually give it a clear, wet or not wet sand it, give it a clear, sand it, get all the hairs off of it, and clear it again. Then do the good dry assembly, and then put a final clear on it when I'm done. My finishes are really, really, really nice. In fact, most of the images people see my painted finished pieces, they're like, "Man, is that acrylic?" No, it's not acrylic. I just put a super nice finish on my stuff. So, easy $30 here, I think, for a nice painted and finished piece. And when they see that, almost an hour or more went into actually designing the concept, yeah, they don't buck about it too much. All right. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. Oh, now, yeah, no, thank you. Uh, my head is thinking now for trophies. Yeah, that would work. Ideal for trophies. Yeah, absolutely be fun little thing. Me being, I would clear acrylic. Yeah, I ain't messing with. I don't even like saying clear acrylic. It's a tongue twister or tangler. It's a tongue tangler for me, and I don't like using the CO2. I don't like using the CO2 I've got. Let's put it that way. Uh, make make the name a bit shorter. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Gonna do that. Uh, well, Gene, I can start over. Uh, well, if you wanted to do tinted windows instead of cutting them out, just engrave it black. You know, um, and I ain't messing with engraving. I do engraving of photos. I've done them. Don't want to do them. Don't want. I want it to be done. There's an art that is a true art form to engrave photos. That is an art form in and of itself, way beyond just laser engraving. So hats off to you that do that. I've done it, don't like doing it. All right. There are some pretty amazing new CO2s released. Yeah. Yeah. I and I tell you, boys and girls, I'm on the fence about who I am. Who is Hobo with Wood? I I'm I appreciate what Clack and Steve Ventari do. I enjoy watching them and I appreciate what they do. And I love watching their opinions and evaluations on new products that are out there. And we need folks like that who give us honest feedback, and they're not just pushing the next thing because they're getting paid to do it. And we all know people who do that. Clack and Steve they don't do that. They just they might get paid for their opinion, but their opinion is honest. If they don't like something, they're gonna tell you they don't like something. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be always talking about the next thing. And again, I'm glad they do. And when the Rolly finally quits on me, I've got 3 more modules sitting in my storage, so that if this one quits, I got more I can bring out. And hoping that modules are the only thing I got to worry about until I have to replace it. But it's tough to come up with just constantly new ideas and new products and new projects just to have, to be selling designs. But like this piece that we just did tonight, that wasn't something I was ever in my wheelhouse. Finally taking those free pieces and giving them to a restaurant started conversations, and people say, hey, can you do this? Or I like this and that and that. Then those people's wants created the need for me to come up with something. So that's how we got here. And I like being creative. I like designing and being challenged. And I don't know. I Tell me if I'm wrong. Is anybody else doing what I'm? Is anybody else on YouTube doing what we just did? The collaboration, the creation. Is anybody else doing this? No change to your channel needed. We need a specialist designer channel. I agree with Chris. Carl, I started to reach out to Leo this week. I didn't do it, and I need to, just to check in, see how things are going. But I don't have anything new to share. Designing is all the fun. No, sounds like me. I have been stuck in a funk. Another great stream. Word of mouth orders are where I get my most challenges from. Yeah. Because usually they don't know what they want. They got an idea and expect you to be able to go, got it. And this took me 2 days of thinking to even come up with something to put the idea of the car in the name, and then it morphed into what it's morphed into. I was initially thinking of trying to integrate the name Colin into the shape of the car, and I even thought about doing a puzzle piece to where I had actually 6 pieces that interlocked together to form the name Colin, but then also would have the shape of the car put together, so it could actually be a puzzle that could be a learning tool to help him learn how to spell his name. you know, and then the physics of getting the pieces to interlock. It could have been a learning aid, but it's like too far, too advanced, too much material, too much cost. Uh, you're doing great. No need to change. We have thousands of people doing the other stuff. Yeah, and there are a bunch of them out there, but ain't a whole bunch of them out there that you can trust. That's why I say I like Clack and Steve for what they do. I do feel like I can trust whatever they say. Um, Still do the puzzle. uh, Take a look at Cuddle. I've been using it for 3 years. It allows you to create parametric designs that you can easily be resized. Uh, and I've someone's mentioned Cuddle to me once before, Ralph. And I it's been a while, and with my stroke brain, I don't remember. There were some things about it I that didn't appeal to me. Uh, I like being able to do everything in Lightburn. I realize that the things I do in Lightburn could be done a whole lot faster. Like figuring out the geometry of this and getting this thing to work. If I was to use and I wished I could remember what software Ventari told me. I think it might have been SketchUp. I can't. For some reason, that keeps popping in my mind when I think of what he used. But he used something that allowed him to create this in a 3D world, and it show you the interferences. It show you where there was a problem. You don't have that in Lightburn. And using a tool like that would have saved me a ton of headache. A ton. But I got there and I was able to do it. Yeah, it was SketchUp. Okay. Yeah. SketchUp or Fusion. I think he said SketchUp. I think that's what he uses. Yeah. Crafting Gene says, yeah, SketchUp. I embrace the idea of helping people learn. What are they going to call that? So it's a long time. Stream's going long. I'm brain shutting off. What was this software for that don't work? Well, doesn't work great. Millmage. Yeah, Millmage. I was looking forward to being one of the few out there really embracing and helping learn Millmage. But right now, I don't think Millmage is worth learning. There's too many other superior CNC softwares out there that to learn how to do what Millmage is limited to is kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. Because once it becomes something greater, why bother unlearning everything you had to? So when Millmage is better, we'll go down Hobo with wood chips again. But they got a little ways to go before it's worth the time and trouble. It needs to be something that competes with VCarve and Vetric and all that. And right now it doesn't. Doesn't even come close. All right, boys and girls, 2.5 hours. We're out of here. Thank each and every one of you. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscription button. We're real close to the 12,000 subscribers. That'd be just another milestone to overcome. The reason I brought it up was because I make dollars from the files that I create with Cuddle, between 150 to 250 per month, and it works with Lightburn. That's awesome. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing 150 or $200 a month. My bills are paid. God blesses me. My bills are paid. And as long as I got food in my belly and my bills are paid, that's all I need. I don't need any excess. I just need all I need. And I have what I need when I need it, not before I need it, but it's always on time. So thank you all. And God bless each and every one of you. Thank you all for your support. And like I said, hit that like, share, and subscribe. If you're late, tune in because there was a lot going on tonight. I went over a whole bunch of different things. How dare you if you're not subscribed? Yeah. All right, guys and gals. Good night.